Wanted to talk to you a little bit about composing modal music. As you remember, if we take the characteristic pitch of each mode, we can determine the characteristic chords. The chords that have the characteristic pitch but are not dominant sevens and are not diminished chords. Occasionally they are dominant sevens, but never diminished chords. So Lydian, these would be our characteristic chords. For Mixolydian, these would be our characteristic chords. They contain flat 7, but they are not diminished chords, okay? And here it is for Dorian. You probably remember this sheet from previous spot in the term, okay? Here's another way to think about it. The tonic chords are green, the 1 chords, right? The characteristic chords are blue, for each of the modes here, okay? And then these yellow chords are linking. They lead by step to a characteristic chord. So flat 3 in Phrygian leads to flat 2, which is a characteristic chord, and then to 1. Or 4 minor goes to flat 3 to flat 2 to 1. You could do kind of something fancy like that in Phrygian. That's the only spot where we have 2 linking chords that are together. In Aeolian, so by the way, so Phrygian flat 7, a linking chord could be flat 6 to go to the characteristic chord, flat 7, and then to the tonic chord. So this is called a stepwise link chord or a linking chord. In Aeolian, notice the flat 3 can be a link to 4, and then that's a cadence chord or a characteristic chord. 5 minor can be a link to 4 or flat 6, both of which are cadential chords. And Aeolian, there's a little blue here to show you that flat 7 can be a characteristic chord as well. So anyway, make sure you find the mode that you're going to be working in, and you know what the linking chords are, you know what the characteristic chords are, and you know what the tonic chords are. And of course, we're going to use tons of tonic in these modal compositions. Tonic is very important, okay? So here is a possible harmonic rhythm for using these different types of chords to create modal music. You see, I have a tonic chord here for 2 measures. Then I have a cadence chord or a characteristic chord for 2 measures. Then I have a tonic, a linking chord, a characteristic chord, and a tonic. So that would be, for example, if we were to take the Dorian mode, we'd start with, the tonics are, of course, all going to be 1 minor, 1 minor, 1 minor. And the characteristic chords are going to be, say, 2 minor is one of the characteristic chords. Okay, the other characteristic chord is 4 major. Any of these could be sevenths, depending on what kind of style of music you want to write in. But here's a tonic chord. So what is a good linking chord in Dorian to get to your 4 chord? Well, maybe flat 3 would be a good one. So how about a flat 3 major 7 here as a linking chord? Okay, and so this could be a harmonic rhythm in Dorian mode, right? So Dorian mode. Okay, now we could do the same thing in any other mode, right? So we could do the same thing in Lydian mode. So for example, let's try the Lydian mode here. We could have a 1 major, okay, and all the Lydian tonics are going to be 1 major. And let's make it a 1 major 7. And we could take a cadence chord for that, and let's say we could go to maybe the cadence chord would be a nice 7 minor 7. Okay, that would take us back to the tonic. The other cadence chord would be a 2 chord, right? A 2 major. Okay, and so what's a linking chord to a 2 major? You can use a 3 minor 7 as a linking chord. So let's see what these sound like. So here's going to be Dorian. So there's our 2 chord, and back to 1 chord, flat 3, and then. Okay, so there's our progression using tonic, characteristic, and linking chords for Dorian. Okay, so let's try. So let's try Lydian here. So I'm just playing with white keys so I don't make any mistakes here. So 1 major, 2 chord, and 1 major 7. So by putting this 1 chord in these really strong beats here, we can make it sound like 1, even though, you know, Lydian is a it's a little bit of a hard sell to make that sound like 1, but we can try. All right, and here's another harmonic rhythm, so we could do the same thing. Let's just try one of them. Let's go to Phrygian mode, and we could say a tonic minor is 1 minor and 1 minor. Here are our tonic chords, and then we could use a linking chord. What I was thinking, so occasionally you can use a linking chord that's not a stepwise bass motion. So I was thinking, well, maybe we could go to a 4 minor here. For the heck of it, but as long as you go right back to tonic, it'll be fine. And then a characteristic chord, a nice characteristic chord in Phrygian. Say we could do the flat 2, major 7. Okay, here's a tonic chord that's going to last for 2 measures, and then we could do a linking chord, a characteristic chord. So maybe the characteristic chord will be in Phrygian will be a 7 minor, going to a 1. So what's a good linking chord to get to 7 minor? How about a flat 6? And notice I end up with the tonic here on the weak harmonic stress, the 8th bar. But of course, we could also do flat 6 on, sorry, you weren't seeing any of this. So here's my strategy for Phrygian. 1, 4 minor, 1, flat 2 is our cadence chord, or characteristic chord. Here is a 1 minor, and flat 6 is a linking chord to flat 7, and then to 1. And we could also do flat 6. We could do flat 7 on the weak harmonic stress, and then we could go to the tonic chord. We could go to a 1 minor here on bar 9, say. So that's another option, okay? So for Phrygian, let's see, Phrygian, so 4 minor, and 1, flat 2, and 1, and then we go to our flat 6, flat 7, and 1, and that's still going to sound like 1 is the tonic. It's a Phrygian tonic here, okay? And just one more thing. What about if we are trying to harmonize a melody here? So here's a melody that's in the Mixolydian mode. And, you know, of course, the melody notes are going to have a lot to do with what we, how we harmonize it. So in this case, what we've got is a D Mixolydian mode. So it's only got 1 sharp, right? So we've got C naturals here. So it's not D major, it's D Mixolydian. And we're going to use a lot of tonic. Look at this here. This is perfect for a D chord, right? So in the key of D, D Mixolydian, the cadence chords would be A minor. That would be 5 minor. And the other one would be flat 7. And that would be C major. Okay, so where can we put, in the tonic, of course, is D. So that's 1. So here's where we have a D, we have a 1. This is a perfect spot. See how it's A, B, C here? It might be perfect for an A minor chord. So A minor. That's going to be our 5 minor. And then maybe we go back to all D here. Remember to use a lot of tonic in your modal compositions. Not 1 minor, 1 major. Okay? We can do it again, kind of the same thing. And then we can go to A minor here. 5 minor, and then to a D. Here's my 1 chord. Okay. Now here I thought I might do something fancy. I might put a linking chord right here on the strong beat. This is a little unusual, but I thought it kind of calls out for it, the way the melody is going here. So what about a G chord? Okay, in the Mixolydian mode, that's a 4 chord in D, and then you go to your 5 minor here, so that would be an A minor chord. And then we could even go to another linking chord here to B minor. That's our 6th chord, and that is a stepwise link. This is a stepwise link to 5. This is a stepwise link to 7 here. So flat 7 is our characteristic chord. That's going to be a C chord, and then we come back to our 1, which is a D here, and then maybe we could go A minor here, go to our 5 minor, and then D here, that would be our 1 chord, and maybe that would go to the end. So something like this. So so that gives you a nice modal progression with some tonic chords, some cadence chords, and also some linking chords that form a stepwise link to a characteristic chord. Okay, and just a last word of wisdom. Of course, any of these songs can be, these modal melodies can be made into a more popular style by adding syncopation, and by adding some rests in there, by repeating notes, you know, by changing the melody around a little bit to repeat notes. That'll give it a more contemporary flavor. Okay? Oh, good luck.